Hi all. Alright, so a quick run through of how to make this cup. So this is what we're looking for. It's going to have sort of smooth everywhere other than on the bottom where you have these two sharp edges. So everything else must be smooth. So I'm going to show you two different ways. This is the first way using the shelling method. So let's just go across to the demo just to start things off. Alright, so here's my sketch. I'm not going to redraw this because you already know how to draw sketches, but I will help you just on this point here. So if you want to be able to dimension across something, you need a center line. If you don't have a center line in place, you can't do that. So my center line is vertical. If I activate the Smart Dimension command and I click to the center line, I can move my mouse to the right or left or inside or outside. I'll either get a radius or in this case a diameter, which is what I want. Okay, and then these are all fully defined so that I can control things. Okay, so there we go. That is a size dimension, a size dimension, a size and position dimension. That's a position dimension, and that's size and position dimension. Okay, let's exit. All right, so I'll have to delete this because actually that's what I want. So this is what you'll have. You'll have a sketch. If you go across to features and you go to Revolve Boss, you can then select the sketch. Solidworks will usually, if there's a center line in place, figure out what you want. You can select other lines if you so wish. Obviously that's not going to be clever to do anything other than what I've done here. Once again, you have selected contours, so if you've got more than one contour, you can do it in the bottom. In this case, you shouldn't have. Okay, so there's my basic cup. I'm now going to shell it. So there's the shell command. If you can't find something, I haven't shown this to you before, there's this command at the top where you can type in, if you know what the command is, and you can actually get SolidWorks to show you using this eye where it is. Okay, so I didn't do that. SolidWorks just showed me where it is. I'm going to make this about 2 millimeters thick because that's about right, and then select that face and say okay. All right, so there's my basic cup, and I'm actually doing things the wrong way around, but I'm going to show you how to fix them. So I'm going to put a dish in the bottom of this. So I'm going to select sketch while I've selected that face, not edit sketch. Make sure it's sketch. And then in your head-up display, there's converted entities, or you can go to sketch, converted entities, or you can right-click, drag, and you can offset. Actually, we don't want to convert, we want to offset. So make sure it's offset. I want to make this about 1.8, and then if I just pull my mouse inside or outside, I can tell it which side I want that line to go. So there we go. That's a derived sketch, which is convert entities, but it is definitely, I can right click. It's the offset command you want to use. Right, exit that. As long as I've got a sketch on a plane, I can go to this command here, curves, and say split line. Then I select the sketch and the plane, the face, not the plane. Make sure this is on projection, not any of the others. Say okay. And now I have two different faces. Look at that, 1, 2. Okay, which means that I can use this interface to do something called a dome. Now, I don't know where that is, so I'm just going to type dome in the top here. Oops. Dome, and then if I click on the command, it'll activate it. You'll see that the dome likes to come out. I want it to go inwards, but if I make it go inwards, it's going to be limited. So if I try and do 10 millimeters, which is absurd, I don't want you to do that. But fortunately, you're not going to be able to. So this is going to be limited to about 1.8. Depending on your geometry, 1.7, 1.8. Let's see if 1.8 will do it. 1.8. I got away with that. Okay, so that's cool. Now, I'm going to put a fillet on the bottom here. And let's make this a sort of a 5. Okay, now look at this. Got an error here. Can you see how thin that face, that little bit is there? That's because I put the shell command in before I did the dome or the dishing. And I want them to go in the opposite direction. So what I can do is I can just click on this item, drag it to beneath dome, and watch what happens. it just updates everything. The fillet command you might have to redo. So if there's a angry red thing there saying, well, we don't know what you want anymore, it's because that edge is missing, and it's going to say missing edge. You just click on that item there and it'll show you where it came from. Just reselect the edge and then make it 5. Let's see. So that's way too small, and I think it's because I selected the wrong edge. So you've got to watch out here. Can you see there are actually 2 edges in place? I'm going to delete that one, and it's this bottom one. That one's wrong as well. Okay, so I think let's just try if we increase this. I don't think this is going to help. No. All right, so if you've got this problem, then we're going to have to delete that one, and you're going to do the show the fillet command again. So let's just activate it from here, fillet. And in this case, we're going to use these 2 faces. So face fillet, and let's make that 5 again. What you have to do here is select one face, move your mouse over. It's the only way you can do it. There's no shortcut. To the next face and select that one, and that'll put one in according to your desires. Okay, there we go. So that's the basics. All right, so now I want to put in, I want to thin this edge out, so I'm going to put another fillet in here and show you another trick. Thus far, you have done fillets which are constant fillet size, and at the bottom, I haven't shown you this one here, you've chosen symmetric. Well, you haven't chosen it, it defaults to it. If you select asymmetric, you'll get 2 dimensions, okay? 5 and 5 is not what we want. We want about, let's say about 7 and about 1.2. Okay, now if that, like if you put them in the opposite direction, let's say I'd made 7 and 1.2, just reverse direction using this button, and that should show you what you're going to get. So let's just see what that's done. Right, so I think you can see there, I've actually thinned out that edge. And then I'm going to just add one more edge in here. Right, fillet, so watch out here, it's going to default back to whatever your last command was, so symmetric. And this is going to have to be pretty small, 0.5 or 0.6. Otherwise, physically, it's impossible. Right, so that's the body of our cup. Let's put the handle in. So we're going to go back to front view because that's the view that you would view this from normally. That's the front view. Okay, so there's my sketch environment. Remember I showed you in class how to use the spline tool, but we're not going to use the spline tool because it's a nasty thing to control. Trying to get these to behave is a trick all on its own. Okay, so make sure you select the style spline and then the bezier. Do not, well, doesn't really matter, but these are just going to complicate things. Do not choose any of the B splines for now. And now make sure that your spline comes inside the cup, not outside. And it can actually touch this line. Let's try that. And then please make sure that you select as few of these as possible. So I might even be able to get away with, no, we're going to need one more because I want to do something here. So there's 4, and then I'm going to make that line there horizontal and then just pull this down. And let's get it to connect to that one there. All right. Okay, and so here is the, I don't want that connected. I want to be able to move it around. That still isn't. Something like that. Okay, here's the one legitimate use of this command, which the third year showed you, fully defined sketch. Well, there are a few, but this is the one I'm allowing you to use for now. Make sure that all entities in sketch is selected, all the relations, and then the point should default to the origin. So that's the origin X and the origin Y. Okay, and say okay, and then it'll put all these dimensions in. So you've got a bit of work to do here if you want me to be happy and for you to get marks, because you need to round these off. And if you don't, I'm not going to be happy. All right, so that's 32. One way is to click on it and type the dimension in. The other way is to click on the end and just drag this down and get it to snap to what you want. I like this method because it's much quicker, as you can see, but you've got to get that snapping right. So the way to do it is make sure that your mouse, your cursor is on this ruler. Okay, so above the ruler you'll be able to move infinite degrees. The moment you get to the ruler, it'll snap to some sort of dimension. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You can refine this as long as these are all rounded. I mean, they can be rounded to 0.2 or 0.25 or 0.5 or something like that, but not 0.19 or 0.818 or some ridiculous figure. Okay, the next one is how to put a plane in on the end of the sketch. So you can either select the sketch first and then go to the command, or you can select the command, it's under surfaces, reference geometry plane, or under your head-up display if you've got my settings selected. Select the sketch, the line first, and then select the end of the line. So you'll see it'll go from line, that's the line, to next point is the end of the line. Say we're okay. So that is now normal to, perpendicular to that line there. If I select the plane and put a sketch on it, this is what it'll do. Now, you need to be careful here because I'm going to pick the ellipse tool. You'll see that the snaps are on. So it's going to want to, if I sort of drag from the origin, it's going to want to snap to something. And we don't want it to snap to something because it's going to mess the drawing up. So hold the control button down and the snaps will disappear. Okay, so let's just drag it up to that point, click and drag it up to that point. And the first thing we want to do here is we want to make these two horizontal, and then we want to connect. So I'd like to connect that center point. So select the center point and then select this line by holding the shift button down and say make pierce. Right, so if you've done this correctly, it shouldn't give you a problem. If you've snapped this drawing in any way to any line, you're going to have a big mess, I promise you. So just pay attention to what I've done here. I'm going to go back to normal 2 just so that it's easy to show you what I'm doing. So I'm just giving this a width and a height. So 26 is way too big. Let's make it about 13. See, it's scaled it proportionately, and let's make this about 4. Okay, that's about right. And if I exit that, so fully defined sketch, let's hide this. The command you're going to use now is the Revolve boss, which is also, if I right click drag, over here, or if I just right click, is over here. It's going to want to know Revolve. Oh, it's not Revolve, sorry, I beg your pardon, it is swept. So it's not in that one, it's this one here, swept boss. Okay, please don't blame me for making a mistake. It's this one here. So you want the close sketch first and then the open sketch. Boom. All right, so depending on how you've done this sketch, you might be able to get away with, let's just see if this works, align with end faces. And you can see it's actually deleted that one there. So let me just show you align. So it depends on how far the sketch is in. So I've gotten rid of the bottom one, but I want to get rid of these two. So I'm going to go across to surfaces, delete face, and then make sure it's on delete and patch, not in one of the others. We'll show you how to use those later. All right, and then make sure you select all of the faces you want. If you don't, you're going to get this rebuild error message. So then just select the other face, say yes, and magically that disappears. Okay, so we're almost done. Last thing is to put some fillets in over here. So fillet, it's symmetric. I could show you another way, but actually this is on curvature continuous. It would normally be under circular. So probably the quickest way to make something a bit smoother is to make it curvature continuous. I'll explain what that is to you a lot later. 3 is too big, 2 looks about right. And we can select them both if we want. I'm not going to be too fussy. I mean, that's not really ideal, but it's good enough for just for you to know how to use this. And there we go. Right, and please make sure you save this. So file save as, Right, so it should be your full first names, space dash space, and it is crockery, and it's space dash space, and it is cup, and space dash space, and then R1. And then that's it. You're done. Okay, I'll show you the other method in another video. Cheers.